We've got a really cool Instagram live for you coming up on NBC News' page at 2 p.m. this afternoon. And it's about the way that Native American communities here in the U.S. have really been struggling with the COVID-19 pandemic. And you'd be shocked at some of the things we're learning. Tune in. Kind of peel back the curtain and give us a sense of exactly what they've been going through with COVID-19. So one of the people I want to introduce you today is someone, Shai. She has a really interesting story. She lives on Navajo Nation, which is the largest Indian reservation in the U.S. And they've been dealing with the effects of COVID-19 and a pretty striking. They've been impacted in ways that we've seen exacerbated in other communities like Black and Brown communities, but there are some infrastructural challenges that are also making this virus a particularly deadly one. Hi there, Shai. How are you?
Hey, good to see you, Morgan.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. I was just explaining to everyone there that you live and work on Navajo Nation.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about what you do and, if you can, your experience with COVID-19.
So what I do here on the reservation is I work at a small little clinic in a little community called Chilchimbato, and what I do here is I manage a telepharmacy. So there's no pharmacist on site, but we still do dispense medications, and our pharmacist out in Page, Arizona, they oversee everything I do and make sure everything's good to go before we give it to them. So
And
this way we're able.
And Shai, you got COVID-19, right?
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, but so far I've been cleared. I've been cleared with the doctors to come back to work, and everything checked out.
But I think what's also interesting is that you got it, your brother got it, your mom got it, your dad got it. Is that correct?
Yes. So all of us, it started with my mom. So, and then, just being in a very close environment for everyone. So that's where the spread happened.
So I think that's part of what we want to help people understand. We've been doing a lot of reporting on how COVID-19 has really affected Black and Brown communities, but we're also almost seeing a more striking impact, especially in Indian country. So, Navajo Nation, for everyone who's just now tuning in, it's the largest Indian country reservation. It spans 3 western states out west. And so one of the things we're talking about is why we think this community is being so heavily and deeply impacted. You're on the ground there, Shai, living.
Yeah.
What do you think is part of the cause?
I think a part of the cause here is people not abiding by the stay-at-home orders and people still going out and about within the community, still traveling in herds almost, and just not staying home.
And can you tell us a little bit about the infrastructure? For example, when I've been reporting on this story this week, we were talking to someone who said, one thing that people don't fully realize is how access to running water is actually a big challenge. And sometimes you have to haul your own water, which can make washing your hands for 20 seconds really difficult. Can you tell us kind of what some of those infrastructure pieces that people might not understand are?
Yeah, sure. There's a bunch of different, aspects that come into play. People don't have access to electricity or water here still at the same time. My family alone, we just barely got those resources about 10 years ago. So, and it must be a struggle for people who don't have those amenities. So it makes it harder to fight the virus, and then also, just keep good hygiene as well.
So you were saying your family got electricity and running water 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's about when I was just fresh out of high school.
Yeah. So how was your life before that? So if we could get a glimpse into people who are dealing with this virus who may still be not having access to those kinds of
things. So same thing. You would haul your own water. If you'd have jugs, and now they recommend, warm water, and the water is room temperature. It's cool. So the step process is like manual labor. You have to go heat up that water, which may take 10 minutes, and then by the time they want you to wash it when you come in your house, and that would be 10 minutes. And by then, what do you do within those 10 minutes to even just get clean hands?
And something else we've been talking about is the generational aspect of this, right? And a lot of these communities, you have multiple generations living in the same home. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who, come by and who still live among, one place, because housing out here is pretty scarce. There's not a lot of housing availability options here, especially for young people to come home after they've finished with college. Some live with their parents like me, so which I'm happy, I'm still around to watch my little siblings grow as well.
And another thing, we're all worried about elders in our community because we know that elders are more susceptible to this virus. But
Yeah.
especially in Native American culture. I mean, when you are dealing with an oral tradition, right? I mean, you all pass down your histories orally, so it's not written, which almost makes protecting your elders even more important because it's not just about health, right? It's also about the survival of your culture. Can you explain that to people who may not be familiar with that?
Yeah, there's I guess a lot of it, like you said, is oral history. You know, a lot of teachings do come from our elders, and even that, they're, you know, the most vulnerable and the high risk people. And, you know, if they have family traveling in and out, and I've even, you know, heard people, you know, they went out and they came back and grandma was doing her best to stay home and she still got sick, you know, because people won't stay at home
Yeah.
and they bring it back.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, speaking of staying home and bringing back, one thing that's been interesting, especially on Navajo Nation, is this curfew. I mean, you guys have had like a 5 p.m. curfew most days, and then they're doing like a full weekend curfew as well coming up, right?
Yeah. So Monday through Friday, it's 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the evenings. And then this past weekend, we just had one from Friday to Monday morning. So that was a 57-hour lockdown, as they called it,
Right.
curfew.
So I mean, I've seen pictures where people are almost having their temperatures taken at checkpoints, and it seems like the National Guard is there on the ground helping distribute food. What are you seeing when you look out the window?
Well, I live in a very rural place, so I've seen less and less cars go by on the road. And even when I leave work, the police will be setting up their checkpoints. And at the checkpoints, they will ask you for like documentation to make sure, you know, you're abiding by the rules. You're not, if you're out past 8, they make sure, you know, you have documents that support you being out that late. So like work papers, I have those from my work here. So, but I'm never out past 8, so.
Someone's asking, as I'm looking at some of these comments here, someone was asking, where are you located specifically? So which one of the kind of neighboring states are you closest to?
I am actually, and I'm in Arizona, so I'm very close to the Utah border. So near the Four Corners, I'm about a good 45 minutes from Monument Valley, which is a national park there. So very close to there. And I'm called Chilchimbato, but nearest city or town is called Kayenta.
Mm-hmm. And two other people here, Shai, are asking, how can we help?
I think what would be very helpful is, you know, any resources the Navajo Nation can get. We're taking anything, you know, even different types of help from, you know, even like they said, donations like food, because people who are quarantined, we can't go out. Like when I got quarantined, me and my siblings were like, hey, we can't go anywhere. And we didn't know, you know, we were very low on milk or even just like essential supplies.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think just even through our reporting, we didn't realize. We were talking to Dr. Michelle Tom for a story that we're going to have air on Sunday today this week. And she was saying that they're actually having to reuse, even there in the hospitals, the doctors who are on the front lines are having to reuse their N95 masks. So it sounds like anything, whether it's water, whether it's food, whether it's personal protective equipment, from what we understand and from what you're saying, could be useful.
Yeah, so just anything like PPE equipment here, even our local IHS facility, they're running low on supplies. You know, people for their N95 masks, they have to, you know, clean it with Clorox after each shift and just kind of reuse it the next day. And, you know, it's pretty tough, you know, resources are going low, but our Navajo Nation president is doing his best that he can in this situation. So I really commend him on that as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, again, I think this is such an important story. I think it's so important that we aren't forgetting our other countrymen and women, right, who are in this fight with us. And I think sometimes people can get locked into their own corners of the world and not always have a chance to see and experience what other people are dealing with, because I don't know anyone whose life has not been affected by this virus.
Yeah.
Even if they haven't gotten it directly, like, you know, it's crippled our economy in a way. I mean, we've got, you know, tens of thousands of people now, you know, who are out of work, millions, you know, filing for unemployment. And it's just something that whether you are on Navajo Nation or you're sitting in New York City, this is something that's kind of touched all corners of the world. So, Shai, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. And you are exactly why people are now able to kind of get a more intimate look at this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. No problem, Morgan.
Have a good rest of your week. Take care, Shai.
All right, you too. Thank you.